Edgar, thanks for joining me. Congratulations on the appointment. Not such a surprise for us that we've reported it already, but it must be it's great to know that it's finally done and you've signed now and now the challenge begins.
Yeah, Brennan, it's obviously a massive privilege to take up the position. I think, as I've said previously, it definitely wasn't an easy decision to leave the Lions and EPS, especially during this time of COVID-19, where you really want to look after your staff and the people that are there. But in the end, it's a decision that I'm happy and I've got comfort with now. And as you say, as soon as you walk into the office in June, the challenge starts.
Obviously in this time of COVID, it's a difficult time for anybody in rugby, and I know you have been part of some of the negotiations and discussions about salary cuts and where the industry is going at the moment, and that coming into any job, it would be obviously exciting to take up a new challenge, but I suppose a bit more daunting considering where we are at the moment, because nobody really knows when we're going to get back onto the field.
Yeah, and I think it gets back to my first point where, yes, the rugby part of it is very important, but I think in this time, first priorities when you get there is going to be to make sure your staff are looked after, obviously start building relationship with the people there, and get everybody's life sorted and make sure everybody's fine, and then look at the bigger picture after that.
You obviously quite an unknown to probably most people out in the rugby world. You've kept a low profile. I know when we're looking for photos for you, there weren't many of them. You've moved behind the scenes, so to speak, as such. But maybe just take us through a bit of your background that for people that don't know you, that they can obviously, because you're quite young for a CEO as well.
Yeah, I expected that, Brendan. Now, look, it's been I was very privileged to start at a young age in rugby. You know, I grew up in the Eastern Cape in the Karoo, and obviously had big dreams of working in sport. My route to there was through Stellenbosch and studying accounting, and then getting qualified as a CA at Deloitte in Joburg. So when I actually came up to Joburg, it was the second time in my life I've actually been in the big city, so it was quite daunting. But luckily in that time met some good people, and they gave me a break sort of right after articles of 3 years of articles, and I started at the Lions in 2013. Obviously the year we were out of Super Rugby, which was a nice introduction into the world of sport. And then things sort of evolved from there, and it happened quite quickly, and got into a CFO position in 2014 and took over the commercials in 2015, and then became managing director of EPS, which is obviously the company that runs the stadiums, but also all the commercial rights of the Lions. And I've been there ever since. So it's a full 7.5 years in the industry already.
Now you've obviously learned a lot, and you've got quite a quick rise in that in rugby, but with the opportunities that you've had. But what makes you think? I mean, I won't say what makes you think, but what makes you believe you're right for this challenge for the Bulls and to be a CEO? Because rugby is rather a cutthroat business, especially at the top.
No, 100%. I think obviously I've had good discussions with the Bulls board before accepting this. They've got really qualified people on their board, and really experienced people that can assist where needed. Although in saying that, although you're young, I think obviously with the financial qualifications and that background and the years I've spent in sport will steer me in good health for it. There's unfortunately, and that's one of the problems probably in South African sport right now, is there isn't a lot of people who's been in the industry for that long. There's been quite a bit of a sort of a talent drain in the past few years, and people who've been in the position for a long time that have now retired. So especially I'm thinking of the Bulls specifically. Someone like Byron did a great job for a long time, and I think he'll be quite stupid not to tap into those people for their knowledge and even the work that Alphonse did in the last year and a half. I think there's great structures that have been put in place, and it's nice building blocks to go from.
The obvious question, I mean, being as young as you are, and I don't want to stress that too much, because obviously it's what people are going to say. Look at your age and look at your experience, and that. What guarantees do Bulls fans have that you're not going to just be a yes man for the board and for the shareholders? Are you going to be your own man? Are you going to be? You knew there was a curveball coming, so.
Look, it's obviously not my first time dealing with boards. Is a very strong board at the Lions as well, and obviously dealing with them for the last few years. So I know those politics. Again, but these people have got a lot of experience, and you need to tap into that. There's no guarantees in life, but what I can promise is that we're going to try things. We might fail at 50% of them, but the other 50% will be great.
Now, I mean, rugby is in a strange position before this COVID. Fans weren't coming to stadiums. All the rugby unions across the board were struggling with attendance and just getting bums on seats as such. And you've had some experience trying to do things and trying to change things there at Ellis Park.
Yeah.
Maybe just take us through some of the stuff you've done there, and what do you think needs to change going forward in a place like Loftus?
Yeah, look, I think you're 100% right. I mean, there's massive challenges, and a lot of it is economical and what is happening in our economy. We've tried a few things, and I think it's more about your spectator journey coming into the stadium, and a bit less about the rugby itself currently. It's catering for ladies and all demographics and all ages, and that's something that we've tapped into, and I think we've changed it quite effectively at Emirates Airline Park. The obvious benefit that you have at Loftus is you've got the university right next door, and if you look at what people like the Highlanders have done in getting the students really involved in their stadium, I think that's something that maybe has been a bit untapped in the past, and we need to look at ways where we can tap into that. And obviously the relationship between the Bulls and Mamelodi Sundowns is one that's going to be evolving in the next few years quite rapidly, and it's something that we need to see how the two can gel together, and that supporters base can really grow through that.
I can imagine. You've also got a new coach coming in, and the Bulls have had 5 coaches in 5 years, and you're the third CEO in those 5 years as well. So I suppose a bit of stability would be a good thing now for the Bulls.
Yeah, look, 100%. I think we saw that at the Lions as well when we started in 2013 and Akash just started. There was a period there that we kept the team and the coaching squad together for up until end of 2017, with some obvious success with that, So stability is definitely a key word in rugby, and my view obviously is not here for the short run. I wanna add value and want to be in there for a long run.
And dealing with a guy like Jake, because I mean there will be people that say you young and you're a lot younger than Jake, and Jake is quite a interesting. He's definitely got, everybody's got an opinion about Jake, but he's definitely a guy who likes to get what he wants. And so as a new CEO, you're going to obviously be confronted with some of that pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, look, I mean, I haven't met Jake, and we'll probably meet in the next few weeks, first remotely, and then hopefully when everybody can come back to Pretoria, we can meet up. Look, the he's been inducted to the Hall of Fame. He's got obvious credentials and has a great record, So he obviously knows on the rugby side a lot. And again, as I said to you with previous CEOs, you'll be stupid not to tap into these guys and take their knowledge on board, and not try and to direct them in a way that is against their will. His primary job is to coach a team and to get the team that he thinks can win us trophies. And my job is to make sure the office is run, and there's a sort of harmony between what he's doing, what the office is doing, what the board is doing, and what the union is doing. I think Jake is bringing a lot of excitement, and it'll be a big part of sort of, I think what we need to get is people of Pretoria and business people of Pretoria buying back into the Bulls and believing the strategy going forward, as well as ex-players. I think Bulls have got a massive ex-player squad, and guys who's really sort of heroes in Pretoria. And if those people can start believing in what we're doing at the Bulls again, then we're on the right track.
Yeah, I suppose it's difficult now, especially given the pandemic, and given where we all are without any rugby, to ask you what would be the first thing that you're going to do, other than, I mean, you mentioned the staff, but I mean, and sort of, is there a need to change the perception of Bulls rugby, and to bring it maybe more up to date? Because a lot of the times, I think there's a perception probably out there of Bulls being a bit, the Bulls of the 80s type thing, and a very different role in South Africa. Do you think that's something that needs to be updated, or do you think that sort of goes with winning and the success goes hand in hand with that? So.
Yeah, look, I think it's a tough one to comment on now, and you'll only be able to comment on that once you've sort of been in the system for a while and experienced it. Look, the Vodacom Bulls is a fantastic brand, and it's got probably one of the biggest support bases in South Africa and across a lot of demographics. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's quite tough to comment on that right now.
Okay, but I mean, I anyway, a winning team's the first thing that any sporting franchise wants, and that makes everything else a lot easier, obviously.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's definitely the strategy of the board, and that's part of the reason why Jake is involved. And from what I've seen, they're definitely on the right track.
There seems to be a bit of a clean out going on there. And I mean, Jake's been quite vocal about telling players if they want to leave, if they want to look for something else, they can. It's obviously not as easy as that with this 21-day clause with the salary things, but the chances are that Jake's going to come in with a whole lot of players within the 45-man squad and within the salary cap, obviously, that he is going to work in. So it looks like it's very much when you're going to walk in there, it's going to be a new Bulls team, a new coach, a new CEO, etc. In one way, that's nice to walk into something new, but on the other side, it also puts a bit more pressure on you guys straight away.
Yeah, look, I mean, as I said, there's obviously a lot of speculation in the media. How much of that has actually happened and is true is an open question. Change is never a bad thing, There's and especially in this time, I think the whole rugby landscape is changing. COVID-19 is going to change it if we want to or don't, So change is a good thing, and I think change brings energy, and I think that's, if we can bring the energy back into the staff and the stadium, then we're on the right track.
Your hope that by the end of this year, where do you hope to be with the Bulls by the end of this year? I mean, obviously on the field is the first thing, I'm sure.
Look, I think you touched on it earlier. We must just start winning again, and where that takes you is an open question. And obviously right now, the biggest question is when we can get back on the field and what that would look like. And as soon as we know that, I think then we can start planning on putting goals in place.
Okay. Yeah, just in terms, I mean, rugby, and just personally, your business philosophy. I mean, are you somebody who considers yourself outgoing? Somebody who's a bit more conservative? How would you describe yourself if you had to put yourself? It's a terrible question. I hate these type of questions.
That's a shocking question, but no, look, I don't really know how to answer that. I believe in especially in business. There's very few individuals in business. If the whole team isn't pulling in the same direction, then you can be the strongest leader and the most outgoing leader you want to be, and charismatic and everything. But if you don't get the buy-in of as I said, your staff and your board and the players, then it doesn't really matter. So that's going to be the most important thing for me. And as I said, for me to get to the businesses within Pretoria and get their buy-in as to what we're planning is going to be quite an important first step.
Okay. And just away from rugby, tell us a bit more about what do you do in your spare time? I mean, you've obviously got a family to look after, but what do you have? Hobbies? Are you anything else that you do?
You can see from the black rings under my eyes. I've got a small 2-week-old baby in the house currently, so that keeps me nice and busy. My daughter is now 3-year-old. So yeah, family is up and running on the way. Obviously a big part of my life. Yeah, and then hobbies. I like to play golf. Not a great golfer, and I think, like we've chatted in the past, a good bottle of red wine is always a good option.
That sounds good. I think we leave it there. You've got a big task, so I'm going to say thanks and thanks for the time and good luck, because it's a big challenge, especially now.